So now we're going to look at the human relations theory, Mayo, by Elton Mayo during the Great Depression era. He put this this these theories together. He started in the mid-20s, I think 24, and went till 32. So really, a few years before the Great Depression era, and the first few years of the Great Depression. It's commonly called Maoism, again, keeping that trend up. This is the last one like that, though, out of the 6, where it's named after its creator. Not to be confused with Maoism, the Chinese Communist Party philosophies and ways of thinking. This is obviously totally different. This ideology was developed following the Hawthorne studies, in which Mayo played a large role in. These took place between 1924 and 1932, and then Maoism was kind of ruled out not long after. But the Hawthorne study and this theory shifted management thinking from mechanical and pivoted towards putting an emphasis on human behavior and values. So the first 3 are kind of all like just it's production, it's numbers, it's output, it's these people just they work. This is more of thinking about human feelings and looking at the sociology and the psychology behind management, and making sure that your employees are happy, and doing so and more so than just compensation and bonuses and whatnot. The Hawthorne studies, just to kind of summarize it, they took place again between 24 and 32. They're conducted at the Western Electric Hawthorne Works in Cicero, Illinois, which is a suburb on the west side of Chicago, there in Cook County. Started out by conducting studies on worker efficiency and morale with different lightning brightnesses. They put different they put workers in a room, and they played around with the lightning brightness for the first 3 years of the study, from 24 to 27, and they just found out that more of the brighter it was, people were getting tired quicker and were more irritated and ready to go home by the end of the day. But having it too dark kind of affected with people and their happiness and overall production as well. So kind of finding that happy medium in there was the end result of the study. And then in 27, when that ended, a group of women assembling electrical relays were placed in a room, and variables were tweaked. Everything from start time, end time, how long their regular breaks were, and when they were located, if they were 2 hours into their shift, 3 hours into their shift, whenever lunch break, how long lunch was, what time lunch was at, the number of vacation days they got a year. All these things were tweaked, and these women were kind of just separated from the rest of the group. And when conditions improved, they improved. When they got an extra couple days of vacation a year, their numbers went up overall because they had more vacation, they had more stuff to look forward to. They were happier, all this stuff. When they got a little bit of a longer lunch break, they would work quicker to still meet production needs and stuff too. And I think I think a lot of people, when we go to work, we look forward. I look forward to my breaks. I look forward to lunch. Look forward to going home at the end of the day. It gets to be 4:45. I'm counting down till 5 o'clock. I think a lot of people are like that too. So then we were able to kind of prove this with these women building these relays in this room. Finally, this was that study, the relay room. That was from 27 to 32, and then for the last year of the study, 31 and 32, a group of men were placed in a building to conduct electrical work, which specifically was soldering bank wire lines. They bonded well together and created unspoken social norms, and kind of, if somebody was working, they all had kind of their goals, trying to meet deadlines and get a certain amount of work done, and they would keep each other in check. If someone was working too slow, they'd let them know. If someone was working too fast for the group, they would let them know too. And they kind of really just bonded well together and became all friends, from working in tight-knit quarters like this. So these studies kind of led to the conclusion that workers react positively to positive instances occurring. Now we're continuing on with Maoism. Mayo took these findings and created his own style and philosophy on how management should be handled. Workers were treated more like humans with feelings, and their lives were valued as something more than just workers, and that's true. This is what we saw. We get to see things like PTO and floating holidays and sick time kind of, came around during this time frame, and having good working conditions too, having optimal brightness, having being around similar people with similar interests at work, and being in tight knit quarters, and all this stuff was good, and it helped improve you know, overall morale. Maoism highlights the psychological and sociological factors behind working. It focuses heavily on employee morale and confidence. It encourages communication between both your peers and superiors and understudies. It kind of more brought so to this, kind of like the workplace culture of, I don't know what to call it, like the water cooler culture, I guess you could say. Maoism boils down to this really at the end of the day. When people feel valued, they care more about their craft and they work harder to achieve their goals. And this is really where we saw the start of the kind of the modern day management style. We're going to look at the systems theory by Ludwig von Bertalanffy, I think that's how you say it, of Austria. He kind of developed this the 40s and 50s into the 60s as well. I know he wrote a really famous book that came out in 68. This is going to be a quick one. He just promotes teamwork and unity, puts an emphasis on the importance of open versus closed systems and management. He follows a very similar hierarchical structure to Weberism. It calls for an independence and individual goals, while also recognizing that systems working together is the best way to achieve organizational goals. And if one department fails, the entire organization fails. So this is kind of a mix in between the last two we looked at, Maoism and Weberism. Then moving on to the X and Y theory by, I believe Douglas McGregor was his name. I should have put his first name in the slide. These two theories, they came out in his 1960 book, The Human Side of Enterprise. This was, a great management book to look at and read. Theory X dictates that people inherently dislike working and is seen as a chore to help maintain life and some stability. Well, Theory Y dictates that work is seen as a measure of life that is natural and that people enjoy working. It's seen just as not as rest, but just as rest, entertainment, and eating are seen, as a part of life that is necessary to maintain inner harmony, peace, stability, and create something meaningful for yourself and your loved ones, your family. This really boils down to if managers are, if you have an X theory manager, you're going to have, theory X is going to be in place. If you have a Y theory manager, theory Y is going to be in place. It's not more so the individual workers' beliefs, more so than what managers perceive their workers to be. If managers perceive their workers to dislike working, and it's seen as a chore to maintain life and some stability, they're gonna manage by theory X. They're gonna be tough and strict. If they believe that workers like coming to work and that they're there, and it's just a part of their life that they enjoy, and blah blah blah, they're gonna manage by theory Y. So theory X, very authoritarian, no trust and no regard for human enjoyment. Makes workers out to be lazy and hateful of their jobs and lives. It promotes micromanaging, constant control over small details, and results matter more than anything. It's very hierarchical, and employees usually hate managers that view them as theory X. Theory Y is passive, puts trust in workers. It creates a healthy work-life balance where employees do not dread coming into work and can appreciate their jobs. It motivates rather than forces, and it puts an emphasis on employee morale, understands that human life and happiness is a major component of the workplace, not just of results and production, and it believes in little managing on smaller tasks, not much micromanaging, and it promotes story thinking and problem solving amongst workers. Ignore the typo there. So I just wanted to ask, would you rather work under a manager that sees you as theory X or theory Y? I think 99.9% of normal people would say theory Y. Which other management styles would you want to work under? I would want to work under Maoism. I wouldn't want to work under any of the first three. I just think that sounds miserable. I think a lot of people would agree with me there too. And I just have some key takeaways here. Just kind of really driving home the point and kind of highlighting how each of them are different. Scientific theory, there's one best way to do each task. Administrative theory, there's good management leads to success. Bureaucratic, strict and a clear chain of command. Human relations, better conditions equal better production. Systems theory, when we all work together, then we see favorable results. And then X and Y, a manager's thoughts on workers leads to decreased employee morale and job enjoyment. And I have my sources here, and then my thank you slide with a picture of my dog at the park. So I thought I'd include that in there, because who doesn't want to see more dog pictures? That we're at about a little under 35 minutes, so I went a little over. Hope that's all right. I hope everybody seeing this, if there's more people seeing, everybody seeing this, whether it's just you, Professor Koesters, or my other classmates as well. I hope everyone's having a good summer and a good, and just everyone's doing good. So thank you for taking the time to watch this. I hope you learned something today, and have a good one.